Attorney Lambino, good morning to you.
Hi, good morning, Karen, and long time no see. Yeah.
All right. Now, you filed a petition for certiorari, right, at the Supreme Court. And what do you make of essentially feedback that it's moot and academic at this point, given that former President Rodrigo Duterte is now at The Hague? In other words, the ICC has acquired jurisdiction of the former president.
Let us clarify that the decision or the order of the Supreme Court in regard to the motion for the issuance of a temporary restraining order or preliminary injunction, that was the one resolved by the Supreme Court. And the resolution did not say that it is moot and academic because the former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte has been flown out of the country. And so we plan to file a motion for reconsideration this morning. I talked to Attorney Israelito Torion, who is a lead counsel in this particular case, and he informed me last night in our meeting that he will file immediately a motion for reconsideration here because we believe that there is a violation of due process and the right of the former President Duterte guaranteed under the provision of Article 3, Section 2 in regard to the warrant of arrest made, because you see, even assuming, no, we are not admitting that the Rome Statute of the International Court is still applicable here in the Philippines, the fact that we have already withdrawn membership from the ICC. But even assuming so, that the Rome Statute still applies in the Philippines, pursuant to the language in the warrant of arrest that allegedly was served against President Duterte, the order of the pretrial chamber of the ICC should be subject to judicial review pursuant to Article 59 of the Rome Statute. And what does that mean? It means that the person who is arrested or it is being secured has the right to go to the courts of the custodial state. In other words, in the state where he was arrested, and it is in the Philippines. But President Duterte was deprived of that right. He was deprived of the right to counsel because former Justice Secretary Service Rebello was not allowed to enter. And even Vice President Sara Duterte, when she arrived late in the afternoon, and the former president said that my daughter is my lawyer, she is my counsel, she was not allowed to enter. So there were a series of violations committed by the police. What was the rush about? So this is what we call political persecution. It is clear in our constitution that no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, and property without due process of law. And when we talk of due process there, it is procedural due process. No, in the same manner that also substantive due process is violated because we believe that the Rome Statute is no longer applicable insofar as all Filipinos are concerned, effective 2019.
Okay, but then even if the Philippines withdrew from the ICC in 2019, at the end of the day, the Philippine government today has agreed to still act on crimes committed while the Rome Statute was in force. So that means with the Philippines, it's November 1, 2011 until March 16, 2019. The government agreeing to act on it makes it legal. Does it or does it not?
No, it doesn't follow, no. But what we are saying is that assuming so, that the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court is still applicable, as stated in that warrant of arrest, alleged warrant of arrest that was used to detain the former President Duterte. Again, I repeat, under Article 59 of the Rome Statute itself provides for judicial remedy of the arrested person, and the arrested person, meaning PRRD, should have been allowed to go to the court. No, in fact, it is the obligation of the arresting entity here in the Philippines to go to the court to make sure that the right of the person arrested will have to be protected, including the right to counsel, the right to due process, and to question the validity of that law. Now, look,
Attorney,
yes.
Attorney, papaulit ko lang yung binanggit yung yun because you have an argument on that point. Can
Yes.
you read it again? That part of the Rome Statute where the respondent or the person to be arrested has a legal remedy first in
Yes.
the area. Go ahead, can you please?
Yes, under Article 59, paragraph 1 of the Rome Statute mandates that when a person is arrested under a warrant issued by the ICC, the arrested person, PRRD here, must be brought before a judicial authority in the custodial state, meaning to say in the country where the arrest took place, and the arrest took place here in the Philippines. This judicial authority, meaning to say our courts, Philippine courts, must assess whether arrest was conducted lawfully and whether the person's rights were respected during the process in accordance with the Philippine Constitution and in accordance with Philippine laws. And it is also said that here in the case of PRRD, no, while the Philippines is no longer a member of the ICC, as I said, but the procedure of protection under Article 59 still applies to him. No, it still applies to him. As the ICC said that we have jurisdiction over PRRD. So therefore, the protection guaranteed by Article 59, Paragraph 1, and even Paragraph 3 of the same article in the Rome Statute, which provides that the arrested person may apply for interim release, meaning to say that he could have applied for bail if that is required, because under our Constitution, it's also guaranteed that a person who is detained, whose liberty is deprived, can apply for bail, because that is a constitutional right also.
Okay, all right. That's quite interesting that you pointed that out, because I did open Article 59 now, and it says in paragraph 2, actually,
Yes.
a person arrested shall be brought promptly, ang ibig
Yes.
sabihin, agad-agad,
Yes.
before the competent judicial authority
Yes.
in the custodial state. So
Yes.
sa Tagalog, dapat dinala muna si dating Pangulong Duterte sa hukom dito sa Pilipinas.
Tama po yun.
Ganun ang nakasaad.
Nakalagay doon. Nakalagay doon, dapat dinala ni General Torre, si PRRD, sa competent judicial authority, meaning to say the Regional Trial Court of Manila, or the Court of Appeals, or the Supreme Court, as the case may be. Pero hindi niya ginawa, inapura niya, nakidnapin si PRRD at dinala, isinurin,
Attorney, ang tanong ko,
Netherlands.
is it right to bring this before the Supreme Court, or is it wiser to bring this before the ICC?
Well,
Because
both.
this could be the argument, your argument, before the ICC, that he's
Both.
right, we're
Both.
violated.
Both. So that's why there were series of petitions filed yesterday by Attorney Panelo, one coming from Kitty Duterte, one coming from Mayor Abasti Duterte, which is the petition for a writ of habeas corpus. And I believe the two proceedings have already been raffled to a particular justice. So we are going to wait for that petition, and also our petition for certiorari provision that we filed on March 11 is still pending in the Supreme Court. Remember, Karen, that was not dismissed by the Supreme Court. What was dismissed by the Supreme Court is our motion for urgent temporary restraining order, and in the order of the Supreme Court, it did not say that it is mooted because PRRD has been flown out of the country. So that's why we are filing a motion for reconsideration here, because we believe that the right of PRRD, even if he is already out of the country, is a continuing right. It is not mooted by anything, because the right of a person to due process is primordial in our Constitution, as it is embodied in Section 1, Article 3 of 1987 Constitution. So it is really very, very significant here. This is a very big issue. In order to have a judicial precedent, it's going to become a jurisprudence, because this is the only country in the world that has surrendered its national to a foreign entity. There were several ICC arrests made from other countries, mostly the sub-Saharan state in Africa, where judicial system doesn't function that well, but they did never surrender their national to ICC. And ICC is not recognized in the United States, in Russia, in China. 3 permanent members of the Security Council said that ICC has no jurisdiction. And now that we are no longer member of the ICC, why do we have to surrender our national? Isinuko natin ang soberenya natin dito, at ito ang nakakasakit ng damdamin, because it doesn't affect only PRRD. It affects all Filipinos who could be charged by a foreign entity and will be brought there for trial and be convicted. But you see, we have our own judicial system since the time of the Spanish regime working in the Philippines. Why do we have to surrender that to a foreign entity?
Okay. All right. Well, Attorney Lambino, you make strong points this morning. So I think just very quickly, because we have a series of interviews still on this issue, what is the next move?
Well,
What is the next move?
Well, Vice President Sara, I believe, is now in Amsterdam, and I think she will be able to see her father. And the primary reason that she flew to the Netherlands is to confer with the international lawyers to form the legal team that will defend the former president. So we have here two legal fronts that we are going to be assisting the president. One would be there in The Hague, another one is here in the Supreme Court of our country, because we believe the Supreme Court must decide this matter with dispatch, and we are going to respect whatever order or decision of the Supreme Court, because this is a matter of not just our right to sovereignty as a nation and as a people, but it embodies the most precious constitutional right inherent upon every person, and that is the right to due process, the right to counsel, the right against unreasonable seizure of a person. Yes.
On that note, Attorney Raul Lambino, thank you for joining me today, sir. Thank you for being on Head Start.
Thank you, Carmen. And thank you to all the Filipino people who love PRRD. Bring him back in the Philippines. Bring Tatay Digong back in the Philippines. Maraming salamat po sa inyo.